You actually ran for president on one platform, and that was to make sure that you kind of came up with campaign reform. Does money matter in these elections?
Money absolutely matters in the elections for Congress. You know, members of Congress and candidates for Congress spend anywhere between 30 and 70% of their time raising money. And they're raising money not from the average American, they're raising money from the tiniest fraction of the 1%. And, you know, members of Congress are human. There's no way in which that behavior doesn't make them extremely sensitive to the needs of that tiny fraction of the 1%. And so there's no doubt that they've become corrupted through this dependency on this tiny fraction of America's wealth. And so I think in that context, there can be no doubt that this constrains what Congress can do and makes it impossible for it to address really important fundamental issues that America needs to address.
You said Congress. I take it you don't think it matters as much in the presidential election, because we saw a lot of money that was put into play in a lot of places that it didn't really seem to have an impact.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I would love to see it not matter in the not be in the presidential election either. But my point is we've got to focus on where it actually has its corrupting effect. You know, I think presidential candidates can run. They can take small contributions. You know, what Bernie did. This big race had a lot of big contributors. But I think the real place you see the corrupting effect is how it constrains what Congress can do.
Ilya, you agree with that? Are you in favor of changes along these lines, or, you know, even term limits?
Well, those are several different types of questions. I have constitutional issues with a lot of the kinds of so-called reforms of campaign finance that Larry and others might propose. But fundamentally, money matters less and less in our internet age. Candidates for public office certainly do need a certain threshold of funding to be competitive. Obviously, more if you're running for president, less for city council. But beyond that, money doesn't matter very much. Things like incumbency, celebrity, party polarization matter much more than money. You know, there's not any amount of TV ads that could convince most people to change their votes for president or for their senator in their state this cycle. 4 years ago, Hillary Clinton significantly outraised and outspent Donald Trump. And this year, just in the races against Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Senator Lindsey Graham, I think $200 million was spent, and they won by more than they had in the past. So there are a lot of complicated dynamics going on here, but it's not simply a matter of raising money or somehow candidates being corrupted by increments of $2,800, I think, dollars now at the federal level that you can donate to a candidate each election.
Professor, the Supreme Court has ruled pretty clearly on this matter. What are your thoughts about what it would take to even change it?
Well, I agree. The Supreme Court has constrained what could be done, which is why I'm not talking about any of the things that Ilya has just mentioned. I'm talking about changes that the Supreme Court has clearly indicated are constitutional. So take an idea that many conservatives are supporting, the idea of vouchers, like, you know, give every citizen vouchers. And with those vouchers, they can choose which candidates they want to support. The point is, if you do that, the business model of fundraising changes. You don't spend all your time talking to the tiniest...
Wait a second. We give them vouchers from where? The public money that's going to be spent to this? Taxpayer dollars?
You got to embrace your inner Tea Party here. The public money is our money. It's our money we sent to Washington. They're going to send it back in the form of a voucher. And that voucher is something that you can use...
To be spent on campaign ads?
So that they can use it to make themselves less dependent on private special interest money. There's money in here regardless. The question is, whose money is it? He who pays the piper calls the tune. And right now, it's absurd to suggest that people who spend half their time raising money from a tiny, tiny fraction of people aren't listening to the tune that those people are calling.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.